Mr Speaker, as much as I hate to rub salt into wounds, this Queen's speech has one very obvious backdrop that deserves mention, and that's the democratic drubbing the Prime Minister and his party got last Thursday. And I know that they might want to hide from that reality, but the message from people right across these islands was crystal clear. The people made clear that this is now a Prime Minister facing his final days in office and a Tory government that it's on its last legs. And I'm proud to say, Mr Speaker, that Scotland sent the strongest message of all. Now, I understand this might be a wee bit uncomfortable listening for the opposite benches, but they need to hear it all the same, because they need to hear what Scottish democracy is telling them and has been telling them for years. Last Thursday, Mr Speaker, saw the best ever result for pro-independence parties in the local elections. The Scottish National Party is the largest party in the largest number of councils, the greatest ever result in a local election in our party's interest. This is, Mr Speaker, the 11th election victory in a row for the SNP, and it's the 8th election in a row that the SNP has won under the leadership of Nicola Sturgeon. Mr Speaker, a party in government winning more votes than winning more seats. Can you imagine that, Prime Minister?
No, he can't.
So, that's what we did. What about the Conservatives? Down by 100,000 votes, and they lost 66 seats in Scotland. And the worst news for all of them is, after all of that, they've still kept their leader. So, democracy has spoken in Scotland. It's spoken before, and it will speak again and again. And all our democratic decisions are saying exactly the same thing. Scotland rejects this Westminster Government. We reject the Tory party, and we are demanding the choice of an independent future. Because the Scottish people know the cost of living with Westminster. We know the price we pay with the Prime Minister and the price of being stuck with a Tory government we didn't vote for. And it's a price none of us in Scotland, not one of us, can afford to pay any longer. And at that I will give way.
I thank the right honourable gentleman for giving way. And I'd like to ask him a direct question. How does it feel that 8 years after Scotland so conclusively said no to separation, that the pro-independence parties are still getting the same proportion of votes as they achieved 8 years ago, despite everything that's been thrown at us and despite, frankly, everything that we've thrown at ourselves? When will the right honourable gentleman admit that the game is up?
Well, I have to say, and I'm going to call him my honourable friend because I do enjoy his company, but I have to say to him that if the game is up, if the game is up for anybody or any party, then the game is up for the Tory party in Scotland, and the game is up for the Union. And I say to him that he needs to reflect on the fact that the SNP's won the last 11 elections, as I said. We went to the public and we asked for a mandate to have an independence referendum. Well, I hear from a sedentary position we didn't get one. I would ask honourable members opposite to reflect very carefully, because when we consider the first-past-the-post elections firstly to the Scottish Parliament last year, we won 62 of the 73 seats. And there is, Mr Speaker, a pro-independence majority in the Scottish Parliament. And we hear in the Queen's speech today about respecting democracy. Why are the Scottish Conservatives and those in London denying democracy for the people of Scotland? How many times, Mr Speaker, how many times do the people of Scotland have to elect the SNP into government and Westminster says no? What price democracy? What price democracy, Mr Speaker, when this place ignores the sovereign right and the will of the Scottish people? And I will tell you this, that a day of reckoning will come for those that are seeking to frustrate the rights of Scots to have a referendum, because, Mr Speaker, that day will come. And that day will come, and not only will there be a referendum, but we will win that referendum, because, Mr Speaker, that is what democracy is about.